Well, a fabulous evening, everybody. It's Patrick Christie's here at Buckingham Palace, and the sun has come out for us. It's been a bit on and off all day, but we're well and truly basking in it now, which is fantastic. So thank you very much for tuning in as we build up, of course, to one of the most important days in our national calendar, in our national history. It's King Charles's coronation on Saturday. But as most people across the country are planning street parties and gatherings and getting their quiches out of the oven to celebrate the King's coronation, police officers and security services are preparing the largest security operation since the late Queen's funeral last September. And one thing I will say was there weren't really any of them dusted around here yesterday, but today the scale of the police operation is vast. It's really stepped up a level. Operation Golden Orb, it's called, has already been underway for weeks, but with the authorities vetting so-called royal obsessives to try and identify anyone who could disrupt the festivities. Of particular concern are environmental protest groups. So they're not the old royal superfans or, obsessives, which I think is a bit mean. No, these are, well, your old classics Just Stop Oil, aren't they? Those numpties are back at it. But they've been increasingly active in recent months. And police will use intelligence on the most prevalent activists to prevent them from causing trouble. Joining me now is former head of Royal Protection. It's Dai Davies. Dai, thank you very much. Now, I think there's very much two different things going on here, possibly more actually. The first one is these so-called royal obsessives. Is that a little bit mean on those lovely people who I've met who were camping out there for days?
No, I wouldn't regard them as obsessives in the way that I would consider obsessives. They're the people who are mentally ill, who have a fixation. Right. It can vary from thinking they ought to be part of the royal family to they should have been married, etc., etc. They are the real ones, and they've been around for years, both in this country and abroad. And there is the Fixated Threat Assessment Centre, who allegedly came out. There are about 200 that they're really concerned with, and about 10% of those could pose a danger. So they're the people that the police and others will be looking out for, to ensure that if they're anywhere near, they're either escorted away or appropriate action taken.
Okay, now the police obviously do a lot of due diligence, don't they? And they're apparently monitoring several thousand people very, very closely in the run-up to all of this. So can't they preemptively act when it comes to Just Stop Oil? I was watching Dan Wootton's fantastic show last night, and indeed everybody should, 9 to 11 right here on GB News. And there was an individual on there, a lady, who said that she would preemptively lock up known members of Just Stop Oil and essentially put them under house arrest for the event. I don't think there'd be a lot of opposition to that, Di.
Well, you're right. And in case of football hooligans, they do actually do that, or they take out orders against them. I'm not aware, as far as public order, that there is a precedent for doing that. I think if you have the evidence that they are going to cause a breach of the peace, and don't forget, breach of peace is always available to police, they should consider all their available legal options. But I emphasize the word legal. It has to be legal. But no, if they cause disruption, they should be swiftly removed, and if at all possible, shouldn't be allowed anywhere near the procession, because this is the King's Day. It's the country's day as well. And I don't think a very tiny minority, for whatever reasons they have, should be allowed to spoil it and spoil the image across the world, because there will be billions watching this. I mean, the Met Police have, whatever else they don't do right these days, they certainly normally get these things spot on. And I was very proud of the late Queen's funeral and how all the services there. And we mustn't forget, this is a combined factor between the military, the police, the intelligence, the Mayor of London and his teams. There's a huge operation that has been going on for months,
Absolutely.
Not weeks.
Absolutely, Dan. Now, part of Operation Golden Orb, as it's been called, we'll see snipers on the roof. It will see people embedding themselves into crowds. And one of the big concerns at any event like this is going to be the density of crowds and, frankly, not being able to know exactly who is in those crowds and whether it's your kind of just out-and-out terrorist, whether it's some Just Stop Oil nutter or whoever it is, a royal obsessive, whatever. Okay, it's very difficult for the authorities to actually tell. So talk me through some of the tactics that you use. I mean, are we talking CCTV? How are we talking? What's high-tech about it all? What goes on?
Well, again, you've answered to some degree your own question in the fact, yes, there will be CCTV, yes, there will be monitoring, and I'm an old public order. I used to do a lot of public order and capture the ground early. As you can see now, the police are actually ensuring key areas are protected and have been protected for some time. I'd be looking at where I would consider are the pinch points. One of the key things, as well as protecting the royals and the VIPs and everybody else, is protecting the public. And what you have to have are contingency plans so that in the event of any untoward incident, you can react quickly and safeguard, because what happens in any large event, might, if there was one, is panic. So what you have to do is consider how you evacuate. How would you deal with a major incident? And I've no doubt there are a number of contingency plans, and that is key, because if you fail to prepare, you will fail. So preparation is key. Knowing your ground is good. And in my case, I always say, know your history. Know what has happened previously in royal events. And I can take you back to 1760 if you really want, as to the events and how George III was attacked. Then you have Queen Victoria. You've had royals being attacked throughout the centuries. So you've got to know how and where, not only in this country, but in Holland, where the royal family were attacked by a guy in a car. So you've got to know all of these things and then put them into the strategies of today.
Absolutely. Look, Dai, thank you very, very much. Dai Davies, there is former head of Royal Protection.